This is Skylar from Montana State. In this video I'm going to show you how to flash an SD card with the newest video streaming image for the Raspberry Pi. The first step is to go to the GitHub repository where we're storing the image currently. In the description of this video we'll make sure to include all links leading to where we downloaded the software in this video. So the first one will be on GitHub under username MSU-Borealis and in the repository video streaming. When you arrive at this page, you'll see that there is a README displayed on this front page. This README describes, as we roll out new releases and new images, it'll describe the changes that we've done to each one. To download the image, all you need to do is click on the highlighted link. Once you download this image, you'll see that it's a .gz file. To unzip a .gz file, you'll need a different tool than just the native Windows zip manager. I personally use 7-zip. If you're using Windows, you're most likely using a 64-bit version of Windows. So the download that you want to click is right here. When you finish downloading it, you'll have to just run the setup and just click through the options to install it to the default directories. Once you download the image, in this case I'm showing you on my desktop, and install 7-zip or a similar zipping tool, you can right click on it and see that there's a few options that you can select here. For this demonstration I'm just going to extract to the desktop. With 7-zip, when you start using it, it'll give you a little progress bar as you unzip it to show you where it's at. As soon as it finishes, you'll be able to see the file, and it'll be similar to the one before, but it'll have a little disk in the center. The next tool that we're going to use, if you have previous data on your SD card, is SD formatter. So we'll go back to Chrome and just type in SD formatter download. SD Association has built this program so that you can wipe SD cards easily. It does say up to Windows 8, but I've used this on Windows 10 on multiple desktops and laptops to flash SD cards. To download this software, you just have to go down to this section where it says download SD card formatter for Windows and click. You'll have to read through a license agreement, and as soon as you hit accept, you'll start downloading the file. This too is just a simple setup file that you'll just run and go through the default next until you finish and to install it. To run this program, you just need to double click on the icon. It says that drive E is available to flash with 59.4 gigabytes. That sounds about right since I have a 64 gig card in, but to double check, I will just open up my menu and look and see. So I've flashed this card before and renamed it SD card, but if you're unsure of which card it is, you can always unplug it and replug it back in to see which card pops up. So we know that drive E is the SD card. In a normal flash, it's probably a better idea to do, instead of a quick format, a full erase. But for this demonstration, I'm just going to do a quick format. Now I'll be able to take that image that I unpacked and flash it to the card using another program called WinDisk32 Imager. And like the previous program, if you type in WinDisk32, you'll be able to find it on SourceForge. As just a warning, SourceForge has lots of things to click on here. The one that you're going to want to click on to download this file is just this green button right here. Once you click on that, you just have to wait for 5 to 10 seconds and it will automatically start to download. Once you download this, you'll be able to install and run. Once the file is installed, you can open it up and it'll give you an option for image file, hash, and these are not available yet. So the first thing we're going to do is check drive or device. So I remember that my SD card is on drive E, and I have the image sitting on my desktop. And you can double check the name just to make sure you have the correct image on here. When you select this inside this menu and browse it, it's going to have a .img on the end of it, whereas on most Windows, if you don't have it enabled, you won't be able to see the extension on the end. For this hash, you can generate a hash when you flash one of these, but for this demonstration, we're just going to skip that process. There's a few options at the bottom here that we can look at. This first one is read data from the device to image file. So if I had a image on my SD card that I wanted to copy to the desktop, I could do something like rename this file and then click read. But in this case, we want to write an image to the file, or write an image to the SD card. So instead, I'm going to be using this button called write. When you click on it, it's going to pop with a warning that says you could possibly corrupt this device. So if you have photos on it or something, make sure you store those somewhere else before you try to write. Even if it is a brand new SD card, it will still give you that warning. So now it's going to start flashing the SD card, and you can see the speed of how fast it's flashing it from the image down at the bottom left. And on the bottom right has a current time and an estimated time to completion. And once you're at this point where you're flashing the card, you have pretty much flashed the whole SD card. If you have further questions, feel free to visit eclipsedesign.proboards.com and post in the forum.